Ready.
All right, this is Phil Eklund, and he's the designer of High Frontier, and he's here to explain it to us.
Hello, yes. Like my assistant says, my voice is gone. From trying to explain this game, I've been working on this concept for like 30 years.
Wow.
It's a game, it's a game about exploration of space. I'm a rocket scientist myself. Really, I mean,
I
really
can tell
am.
by looking at this. It looks very scientific,
it's a
actually.
very intimidating map, to be sure. But
the colors are great, though.
okay, well, thank you for that. I mean, and I've got this cool art on the map here. This shows a Robonaut, a type of remote-controlled astronaut that's able to go to asteroids, such as the one in the picture, prospect for water and other things, and try to establish sites for factories, which will later be the basis of victory in this game. How many and what kind of factories that you can actually produce out in space. We've got the sun and zones around the sun. Almost everybody will be starting in LEO, low Earth orbit here. When you design your rocket using these design cards, we'll set up a little rocket figure here, and you'll have to try to see if you can navigate to places on the map in order to establish your factories for victory. And the important thing is all these sites, these are real sites. You should note the characteristics of these sites. You've got the size from 1 to 11, from a little asteroid to Venus or Saturn, which are our largest planets that you can land on. Well, in Venus, the case of Venus and Saturn, I should clarify that this is, you can only establish floating factories in the atmosphere, the habitable zones of those planets. You can't actually go to the surface. And the number of drops indicated on these places show how easy it is to obtain water from those places. Water is the basis of this game. Water is used both as currency. These little tokens here each indicate 40 metric tons of water floating in low Earth orbit. That's your currency in the game. It also acts as your rocket propellant or rocket fuel, so you can fuel up your rocket with these. So a place like Ceres, the largest asteroid in the main belt, has 4 drops. That means it's very easy to obtain water. They've actually discovered water on Ceres. In their telescopes, they can see the North Pole, which is ice. So this is a place where you can get water very easily. It's even possible place, scientifically speaking, where you might find life. There could be subterranean liquid water under the ice on Ceres. So this is a very popular place to go first, as is Mars. Here's 3 spots on Mars. And if you need this very intimidating map because of all the paths, but some of them are helpfully color-coded to be able to get to your destination easier. Here is LEO, low Earth orbit to Mars, along the route red. So you'd start in LEO, you would go along this red path until you land, say, in the Hellas Basin on Mars. We've got 3 sites here. Every red spot that you go through will cost you fuel according to the fuel efficiency, specific impulse of your rocket engine. And so it looks like to Mars, it'll take you 3 spots. 1 red spot, these are called burns, by the way. 1 burn, 2 burn, 3 burns, and you land on Mars. And then you have to roll the dice, which I don't have, that's in the box there. If you roll the size of the planet, which is 10 in the case of Mars or less, so that's automatic, you successfully prospect. Then you can put your color on there to show that you've prospected it and you've claimed it. Later on a claim, you can move a refinery and a Robonaut to actually establish a factory. And you can start to, at your factory, build space-built products for further exploration of the solar system. Every card has its basic side, and then the space-built black side shows what you can build in space with this card. There's 3 sorts of cards in the basic game. One is thrusters. These are needed for your rockets to move. These are rockets to move through space. And then your robonauts. These are what the robotic astronauts, like the one on the cover, to actually do your prospecting and extract water from the world. And the last is your refinery. These are what the cards that you use to build factories, extraterrestrial or ET factories in space. And then to show that, we would, if you establish a factory here on Mars, we would go ahead and put our factory cube. A second cube on Mars would indicate a space colony. You can start colonies. And these are all worth points according to the victory track here. You've got 4 types of factories you can build, depending on the type of world it is. I've got stony worlds, S. I've got carbonaceous worlds, or carbon-filled worlds, C. I've got V for Vestoid worlds. And I've got M, such as Hertha here. That's a metal world. You can get metals there. And each of these types have a different victory value for calculating what the victory points is. The more people that spend on a certain type of factory, the fewer the points is. So you want to get a factory that's very unusual. Yeah.
So if you can be really specific and get something different than anyone else, it's better.
Sure, you've got to be a unique factory. You also get points for glory. If you get crews to a certain place like Mars or Mercury or whatever and bring them back safely to Earth, then you get extra points. And extra points for space elevators, space pharmacy, space tourism will give you extra points too. And so, as I've told you earlier, I mean, I spent 30 years on this, so I wanted to take a lot of effort to make everything accurate.
It is very accurate. You know all the science, oh my goodness.
Well, I've used a rocket equation to calculate the delta V. I've got a friend in NASA, my partner almost, Fat Masai, he's working at NASA.
Yes.
At JPL. Dr. Strange, Nathan Strange, did a lot of the calculations for the orbits and around Jupiter and Saturn. I had from ETH, Dr. Isa Brown, she did all the calculations on the solar storms.
My goodness.
Those are found only in the expanded game.
Sure.
There's Dr. Forward was the one who advised me on all the advanced propulsion techniques, including beamed power, having a big laser beam and beaming the power to your rocket so it doesn't have to carry along its own rocket power.
So much science, and the illustrations are amazing. I think that this board looks, I mean, there's a lot of lines, but it is very easy to follow the colors. So I think people would be able to.
The beginners will always follow the colors and look at the little signposts to go there. Those are all the beginning spots. Then when you get better at it, or later in the game, you can deviate from the normal flight paths. But it is a frontier. There are risks. There's a possibility of outbursts on Comet Encke. On Hyperion, there's chaotic rotations. There's dust storms on Mars. You can avoid a lot of these risks by paying programmers extra before you land, and that's often advised. But if you like to live on the seat of your pants, then you can try for it. But it is a frontier. Things aren't always going to go as expected.
Well, this looks amazing. This is Phil Eklund's High Frontier. If you're into science fiction, this is a game for you. And even if you're not, I mean, it's a lot of paths and all this.
Yes, near-term science fiction, and none of this is make-believe. I mean, it's all in the books.
It's incredible. It's all in the books. So check it out, and it'll definitely be at Board Game Geek Con, and look for it at the fair. You will not be disappointed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.